Hello Internet. I'm back with a figure that I'm actually quite frankly surprised exists. This is Kamen Rider Kivala from that one Decade movie where he killed everyone and then died, and then they basically admitted that Decade had no story because, I don't know, they couldn't come up with one or something. Yeah, this is not Sumi's rider form. After transforming via Kivala, the white girl version of Kivat from Kamen Rider Kiva that they met in Kiva World, and inexplicably also turned Yusuke into Ultimate Kuga. Again, Decade had no story. I'm pretty sure they were just making shit up as they went along. That said, Kivala is a very nice design. It is a girl and then white version of Kiva, who ironically enough they have yet to make in the Figuarts line. They made Emperor Kiva, but not like normal Kiva. But yeah, it is a very nice figure, and I'm surprised that it got made now, given that that Decade movie came out, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago at this point, and B, it was a retail release. Now, she's a female writer who is exclusive to a movie. The other female writers that were exclusive to movies were Femme from the Ryuki movie and Nadeshiko from Forze's movie. Both of them were web exclusives. I can't think of any other female writers they've done. They may have done Tackle as a web exclusive. They did Malika from Kamen Rider Gaim as a web exclusive. So yeah, her getting a retail release is freaking weird. But enough about the circumstances of her existence. Let's get into the figure itself. As you can see, she's primarily white with silver bits and some very nicely shaded purple. She has a very kind of like, I'm going to say MMO armored design because, it's armored except at the bits where, they can show off the fact that it's a female body, which is slightly unfortunate, but it does look cool. But yeah, overall, I think, comparing it to the actual suit, because I did go back and look at the suit in the movie, I think this figure looks a little bit more armored than the suit did, particularly the wing armoring on her rear skirt looks more like an armored piece, whereas in the show it just looked like there was like, some silver cloth wrapped around that part of her suit. But yeah, like I said, I like it. Kind of, I don't know, to use a WoW reference, like Paladin / Dark Knight-ish armor. You do have the Figuarts signature, like segmented eyes behind clear translucent plastic, which is nice. You've got the Kivala detailed there, properly upside down. You have a gold gem in her the middle of her stomach for some reason. Go around the back. As you can see, this is a separate piece that lets it move around, which helps it to avoid getting too much in the way with posability. You'll also notice the chain detailing on the belt goes all the way around. Yeah, overall, like I said, pretty nice looking. You got the red on the ankles and some detailing on her wrist, if we can show that. Yep. The little note with the red on the ankles, unlike that Renewal Kuga, this is just paint rather than an actual translucent piece, which is slightly frustrating. Also, this hits a minor pet peeve I have with kind of like female superhero designs where they will give them high heels. This doesn't bug me as much because it's not really a super high heel, it's just kind of a heeled boot, but it's a small pet peeve when it comes to acrobatic female characters because I just don't think it would be as easy to move in as flat shoes. I've never worn high heels personally, so I could be wrong on that aspect. So Um, yeah, overall, like I said, cool design. Accessory wise, we'll just go ahead and, her sword has been here the whole time. I think it looks very cool. Go ahead and plug it. It's got the silver on the blade, but then it's got white on the the back side, and then the kind of lone batwing scabbard, or sorry, not scabbard, hilt. No, not hilt. Crossguard. I know sword pieces, somewhat. A little bit of the shiny red on the back there too. So, like I said, it looks very nicely designed. Aside from that, it is a Figuarts figure, so you do have hands. You have the one that was holding the sword, obviously, and kind of splayed out, all fingers spread out hand. And these just swap off. And you do have two each of these, so you can use either hand if you wish. Then of course you have fists for some punching. Should she choose to engage in that sort of activity. And then you have another open hand so it can be either calming or kind of doing what I actually had the other hand doing, where it's kind of brushing along the blade or whatever. So whatever poses you prefer. Get her doing that. Kind of a bring it on pose, because that is totally Natsumi's attitude. I honestly don't remember what her attitude is, aside from like being able to cow Tsukasa, which I guess makes sense given that she killed him and then didn't kill him. Decade was weird. Anyway, posability. Head, you've got some good movement. These shoulder bits do limit the side to side a bit. They can get out of the way, but they can't like get out of the way of the head. They can get out of the way of the arms a little. These are on like a... Actually, these ones don't move, do they? Yeah, they do. They move a little, like downward, but still, yeah, get in the way there. It's not too bad though. Arm can go up like that, and you can, like I said, you can get this out of the way a little, but not a ton. So it can go, that far outward. So forward and back's not too limited. Got a bicep, double elbow, standard Figuarts wrist thing. If you've had a Figuarts before, you kind of know this. Good. Now she's like ballet dancing or something, but good waist motion. Able to move back quite far. Able to move forward quite far. Though the Kivala belt does kind of like to shift out of position there. As mentioned, this is a separate piece, so it can move out of the way of the legs, which can go all the way out, forward, and back. Forward and back, yes. Double joint knee, side to side on the ankle, forward and back on the ankle, and even a very, very tiny toe joint. So I'm pretty sure you actually could have this thing doing ballet if you, spent the time to balance it properly and knew enough about ballet to do proper poses. Yeah. So pretty good posability. Up here is a little limited just due to the giant shoulder pauldrons, but I'm not going to complain too much. I still think it's got better mobility than that Z-Cross figure did. Give me just a second. So for a size comparison, I thought I would show off her most famous scene, and that which she kills Decade. I think she's actually a little too tall in comparison to Decade, but I'm blaming that more on the Decade figure than the Kivala, because this Decade is this is the Violent Emotion version, which would have come out around the time of that movie, so like 5 years old. So yeah, she's quite, well, she's a little bit taller, but given that I recall Tsukasa being a bit taller than Natsumi, it's a bit out of scale. That said, there is a new Decade coming out in I think February or something, so probably a bit better scaled there. For actual just plain, ruler size comparison, a little shy of 5 3/4 inches, so decently sized Figuarts. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it, despite, like I said, the dubious notions of her existence in the fiction. But I like that she became a writer. I like that there was a female writer who didn't just immediately die, because she was the first one. Well, actually, no, I guess what's her face from Hibiki didn't die in the series, but she then died in Decade. Also, she didn't have her own suit, so either way, yeah, nice looking Kivala. Kind of still amazed that we got her at retail 5 years after that movie and before an actual normal form Kiva. So yeah, she's a good one, and I'm actually, I know I've been kind of like fiddling with it, but as far as like healed action figures go, she doesn't really have that much trouble balancing, which is surprising to me. I have a couple Black Widow figures from Marvel Legends. Well, Black Widow body figures, because they did a Maria Hill with that too. Anyway, point being, they are extremely difficult to stand up because they're heels, whereas she seems to kind of balance pretty well. So that's a win on Bandai's part, I'd say. Yeah, she's got the hand, she got the sword. There's nothing else really fancy, but she was in one movie, and I can't really think of anything else she needs. So in the end, if you are a fan of Decade, or just the design in general, regardless of how you feel about the fiction, I would say give her a go. The only kind of minor nitpick is the slightly limited mobility up here, but given there are large armored shoulders, I think they did the best they could. So, yeah. Until next time, journey through the decade. Last decade, I guess. Bye, everybody.